Ben Lavender here today, the host of the Madison Podcast. I'm here with the gentleman who weighs, I'm just kind of making this up, 175 pounds of muscle, steel, and sex appeal. Mr. Jason Orsini, who, seriously, is highly respected, highly known in our market, our local Long Island real estate market. Jay, how long you been doing this for?
18 years.
18 years. Was I accurate with my muscle, steel, and sex appeal description?
Except for the 175 pounds.
Okay, we won't go into that.
I'm about 153.
Okay, there we go. Because you're a very fit gentleman, which we may or may not go into later. So let's talk about, your early days, Jay, because as I mentioned, and again, to kind of recap, you are a very highly respected, strong producer.
Thank you.
I understand, though, it wasn't that easy for you, right? Let's talk about like how you were telling me earlier, like your story of going to the beach, having some beers, and you're like, let me try this real estate thing. So give us the backstory.
Yeah, so going back before the recession, 2005-6 area, I was going for my master's degree in teaching. So I dreamed of being a teacher the rest of my life. And then I was going to the beach with a friend who was also a very successful agent at that time, and he got Long Island Rookie of the Year going back in 2004. And we were going to the beach. Back then you're early 20s, so drinking beers on the beach. And he's selling 2-3 houses on the beach, just drinking beers. I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it. But I didn't expect to go into real estate. It wasn't until I lost my teaching job during the recession.
And you would figure teaching is a job that you wouldn't get laid off during a recession.
I didn't have tenure.
Right.
I was 1 year away from tenure. I had my own house.
It was a blessing.
Yeah, and then I had my car, I had a college loan, I had all this debt, and then all of a sudden, true story, once I lost my teaching job, that was my kick to go into real estate, and then I said to myself, you know what, now it's live or die. I need to sell 20 houses this year just to pay my mortgage. I didn't expect to stay in real estate. I wanted to go back to teaching. I just wanted to do it just so I can pay my bills. But I had to. I had no choice.
Right.
But I was always very goal-oriented. So I've always been goal-oriented even up to that point. I always wrote down my goals, always did the best I can to work at them and achieve them. So once I wrote down that I needed to sell 20 houses, I said, how am I going to do it? What do I have to do? What's my objective? What's my strategy? And I just followed that. So I taught myself my niche was to work with first-time buyers.
Okay.
So going into the recession in 2008-9, it was a completely buyer's market, totally different than now.
Right.
It was a sales market.
Oh, yeah.
So back then, you had 300 houses for sale in Levittown. You had...
And to give perspective, how many are there right now, roughly?
Right now, there's 35.
Okay.
So it was a buyer's market. Yeah. So back then, you're talking 300 houses, 400 houses for sale in one town. The prices are $250,000 to $300,000. A fixer-upper was $180,000. The buyer, if you didn't like our offer that was $50,000 under asking, we've got hundreds of other choices and dozens more hitting the market the next day. It was a crazy market. But all I did was just work, buyers. And I was just cold calling in the phone book and knocking on doors.
The phone book, you don't hear that much these days.
That's what I was doing, just cold calling. I remember being in the basement of our old East Meadow office with my manager, who's still my manager today, Joe Toscano. And he was just telling me, you just got to cold call and just call. And it was through that trial and error, through those objectives of learning how to handle objections. Right. So I've heard every answer in the book. The best answer I've ever heard on the phone, I sound like a woman.
Wait,
I don't know, I sound like a girl on the phone. I may sound like a man now, so I'm trying to pretend I have a deeper voice, but on the phone, and I've gotten listings out of it now.
I never would have guessed that at all. I don't think you sound
because you're being nice.
No. I'm being legit. I've never thought that you sound like a woman. But who said that to you?
I get it all the time. See how my pitch raises?
No, but okay, anyway, it's your advantage, you're saying.
So, yeah, because then I'll say, now that you call me a girl, you're being discriminatory, now you have to give me a listing. So that's what I was doing my first year.
Yeah.
I hit 20 deals. I hit my goal. Didn't make a lot of money, but I got through. And then I remember actually going to the award show ceremony for that year, and I got Rookie of the Year.
Amazing.
It was great. And I haven't looked back since.
That's no small feat because it's Douglas Elliman, right?
Yeah, Douglas Elliman's,
Yeah.
the
big
gorilla in the
office,
industry.
good name,
Mhm.
very, very good name, especially in our market. How many other agents were you competing with?
From what I heard back then, a few thousand.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
yeah,
So there's a lot more I want to talk about, something I kind of want to go back into. Before we got on, actually, you mentioned that there was a period where, you were living in your car
yeah.
and, you didn't know where your life was going. Can you dive into that? Because I feel like that's something a lot of people, maybe they haven't hit that level, but they feel like they're a
Sure.
step away from it at any given moment.
Yeah, and I don't wish that on anybody, and I
Yeah.
told you before, and I'll tell the whole world. I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't live by the expression, "No matter how bad you think you have it, there's always someone that has it worse." And
Right.
I truly mean that. Because if I thought I had it the worst, I would just be a complainer and just keep complaining every day and not do anything about it. But since I realized that, I said, you know what? If that guy's got it worse, then I can do it. But yeah, I've had my tough time. I've had my go through.
Yeah.
So I've been through times where, um, when we were kids, our father sold a house, in Levittown. I was 21, just didn't even tell us, just up and sold it, sent him over to Jersey. And I kind of had hatred and resentment for him doing that,
I think that's understandable.
and then,
But
well,
he had to, I presume.
no, I think he just wanted to move on with his life.
Oh,
He raised us. I have a twin brother. I have an older brother and an older sister. My older sister was out already by then. My
mm,
older brother was successful. He was going back and forth to like Miami. Then he came back home. So
that's the
it was
life.
just me and my twin brother left. So I think he did that because he was like, hey, I raised you guys. That's it.
He was done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget. I was going running one day and I came back to go to the bathroom and I heard my dad on the phone with his girlfriend or wife at the time or something. And he goes, yeah, Scott, Kelly, they'll be fine. Me and my older brother and my older sister. He goes, Jason and John, they're not going to make it. And I cried in the
Holy
bathroom, crying for like an hour.
shit.
I said, you know what? If he doubts me, I'm going to do it. So
Wow.
that's one thing about me. You doubt something that I can't do, I'm going to do it.
I mean, that's
You know.
that's rough, man. How
So
to yeah. You dealt with it by just becoming uber successful, right? Like, is that something that you wanted to prove to him? Are you guys still in contact?
no,
Or
I wanted to prove it to him because if he was my dad.
right.
So if I felt like if he can't do it, I'm going to prove it to him and show him I can do it. And that's how I kind of became goal oriented. So.
Okay, so let me ask you something else, because I'm sure there was a point in the past 10 years of the 18 years that you've been doing this where you kind of reached that level where you're like, I proved it to him, I'm good,
Yeah.
right? Like, when would you say you hit that?
Uh, well, my dad passed away in 2019.
Gotcha.
So I would say I made amends, hopefully, when he passed. And I felt at that point, even going back then, when I'm like, you know what? I showed my dad I can made it. I did it on my own. Um, and there was things in the past that he said prior that he's like, you know what? I'm proud of you. You did it.
Mm,
You did it.
okay,
And
so
that's all I needed to hear.
yeah,
So after that, after I proved myself to him, I needed more fire. I needed more fuel. So then I had to do it for myself.
that was my next question. So what
Mm,
like led you into, was it new goals? Or
yeah.
because the thing is, I don't feel personally like goal setting is enough,
Mm,
right? Like, you have to have some type of intrinsic ambitious vibe like what you just described with your father
yeah.
in order to push you there. So was it, I'm guessing, what, having a family? You have 2 kids, right?
I have 2 kids. And
Yeah.
to go back with what you're saying, I think we have the same mindset. Goal setting can only get you so far.
Yeah.
Like somebody has a goal to go to the gym and lose some weight. That will phase out in a month or 2 or 6 months or something like that. I learned through my experiences from what I've been doing and where I want to go. I had these massive visions, and I don't want to sound like a Tony Robbins here, but I got these massive visions and these monumental goals and reasons to get to where I want to go. So I'm that guy that wants to conquer the world, not just in real estate, but in other assets of my life too. So it was having kids that made me have these visions because before that I was doing selfish things. Triathlons, Ironmans, trying to make money, buy a house. But now when I got kids, now I have to worry about my kids and my wife.
Right.
Now it's not about me anymore. Now it's about them.
I
So,
mean, I wouldn't say those things are selfish, right? They were fulfilling to
um,
you. They kept you
very,
motivated.
very
Yeah, and you're a
fulfilling.
competitive guy, man. Like,
Yeah,
people that do Ironmans and triathlons
yeah,
aren't like, I wouldn't say selfish.
yeah.
You're competitive. You're driven.
Yeah, very driven that way. And even doing that, I've raised money, for cancer foundations and stuff like that because it's a selfish sport.
Most selfish guy I know, Jason.
Um, but I think what I've learned, to be very honest, is I don't want to see my kids or my wife go through what I went through
Got it.
when I was a kid. So for me, it's not about the money anymore. It's getting that generational wealth for my kids, but also teaching them that it's just not going to be handed to them. My kids are too young. They don't know what we've learned.
So you actually, how old are they?
3 and 6.
3 and 6. Yeah, so they're young. So you kind of just alluded to this, but how do you balance giving them generational wealth where they're good, but you also have to teach them the skills and make sure that they have the drive so they can not only manage that wealth, but not lose it?
Yeah.
Because you hear about that happening to people as well. Like parents work very
Right.
hard, then they spoil the crap out of their kids. They don't teach them anything, right? So what's the plan?
Well, my kids are still young. They're only 3 and 6. So
Yeah.
they're not going to understand any of this. And I saw this on social media the other day, so I don't want to get credit for it. But I go to my daughter and I go, Alessandra, do you want a big bowl of ice cream or do you want $10,000? What do you think she said?
Ice cream, Daddy.
She doesn't know what money
Yeah.
means. She has no
Yeah,
idea.
of course.
But I'm starting to take her to see around what we do, to like rentals or flips that we do or something like that. So she's getting an idea. So I want to instill that entrepreneurial mindset in her head as she gets older. So when the time comes to possibly take over what I'm doing and hopefully get to where I want to go, they have the mindset to drive it even further. I don't want them just being given money, whatever I'm going to achieve. They're not getting it. I'm just going to give it to them because then they won't work for it. They won't know what hard work is. They're going to
True.
work for it.
Yeah.
You know,
So what are you going to do with the money if you're not going to give it to them?
I'll just invest it and keep it growing.
Well, let's say for when you pass, though, eventually, something that we all have to deal
Give it
with.
a charity.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So you could show them this video when they're old enough to understand. It's
Good.
like I told you. I said on the podcast 10 years ago that the money's going to charity.
You know what I learned a while ago? Not to keep talking about like life and stuff like that, but
Please do.
when you get, at least this is what I believe, when you get to your deathbed, and I truly mean this, nobody cares. Nobody gives a crap
No.
how much money you make or how many assets you have. It's the family, your relationships, the community.
Yeah, in fairness, I
Yeah.
don't think anyone cares now. Even
That's
while
true.
you're alive, people don't care. I mean, maybe it crosses their mind when they think of you, or if you have an associate or a quote unquote friend, but like a real friend isn't going to measure you in that way, unless they're looking to kind of get something out of you or something
Yeah.
like that. Like no one gives a
But
shit.
I also know the value of money, and my dad never sat me down and said, "Let me teach you about money." I learned the hard way. I
Right.
used to scrounge for bagels in my car and go walk a mile to get bagels when I was living in my car
Right.
because I couldn't drive because the car was dead.
How did you end up in that situation, Jay?
I tried to prove it to my dad. So my dad moved to where did he move at the time? I got an apartment in Bethpage and he moved to Jersey. Then I got an apartment through somebody that was renting around the block. And then at the time it was $550 a month in 2021. And I couldn't even afford it. I was paying off credit card checks. I was paying my
Oh,
rent on
shit.
credit card checks.
Wow.
Paying $15 a month on that check. But I got to that point because I graduated college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't get a teaching degree yet. I got my degree in advertising. And then I'm like, you know what? Oh, and then 9/11 happened.
Shoot. Yeah.
So then I'm like, you know what? All right. So here I am living on my own. My dad's in Jersey. I'm still trying to pay my way through it. And the good thing I got to tell you, too, I said I didn't go through like drugs or anything. I didn't well in my depression. That's where I
Thank
think I
God.
became very goal-oriented and driven. I'm like,
Well, a lot of people do,
Yeah.
right? Do you feel that, because talking to you and the time that we've known each other, is that you do have an edge, right? You do have, I don't know if you want to call it like an energy or an enthusiasm, but you have a hard shell to you. Do you feel like that comes from anywhere, or it's genetic,
yeah, I
sports,
mean,
or
I can get as deep as you want, but
please,
going back,
deeper the better.
we come from a life of abuse and child abuse,
Right.
So, like I said before, there's everyone, no matter how big you think you have it, someone's always going to have it worse. My older brother had it worse than I did.
Yeah.
My sister had it worse than I did, but I had it worse than my twin brother. I'm a twin, by the way.
Yeah.
You ever seen the movie Twins?
With that's Arnie and Danny
Arnold
DeVito.
Schwarzenegger and
I haven't
Danny
seen it. I know it. Yeah.
Well, if you saw it, I got the leftover crap.
I doubt that, Jay. You're a humble guy, man, trying to paint
Yeah,
it
but
that
my
way.
brother growing up was like 5'10". I was like 5'2".
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you're not wrong.
No, but yeah, no, we had hard times growing up.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like to have a hard time. And I'm not talking like, and again, not to compare to these times today, but you see these things on the news and everything that you're reading about, some kid gets hit, and then there's a lawsuit, and then it's on the news, and I'm not talking about a hit. I'm talking about being abused for
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
decades.
that's still going on
You know,
to this day.
yeah,
I don't know the statistics, but I feel like it might have gotten worse than
yeah,
better, and maybe people are a little bit more aware of it, but
yeah.
that goes on tremendously.
But that's where I think I got my hard shell from.
Yeah.
So I tell my wife, I tell people I know, I'm like, you can put me on a desert in the middle of nowhere. I'll survive. I'll find a way to survive.
So I imagine that you don't abuse your kids,
I
right?
sure hope I don't.
Yeah. So, um, as part of you say to yourself, like raising them, you need to give them that hard shell, but at the same time, you don't want to mistreat your own children. Like, how do you give them that? And I'm asking as
Yeah.
someone who wants to become a father eventually, because it's something I
Yeah.
think about. Is like you want to balance making them tough, but you don't want to
I'm still
bring them
learning and
down.
growing as a parent. I think we always will, and I think we're always going to grow as a student through everything in this life. But especially being a parent, I've always wanted to be a dad, and
Right.
I always wanted to have a baby girl, and I got it. And
Mm.
she's gorgeous, she's breathtaking. But my wife and I have two totally different parenting styles, like
Hmm.
completely different parenting styles, and I do believe that the past I have, I certainly will never ever want that on my kids, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm doing everything I can now to make sure they don't ever get that.
Right.
But I do think they need some tough love because
Yes.
as hard as this world is right now, I can't just have things given to them. My father-in-law, my wife's father, when my daughter was born or a year or two after that or something like that, he goes, I'm going to get you your first Mercedes when you're 18. I said, no, you're not.
Yeah.
No, she's going to work for it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, no, they're going to have to. And if I ever go tomorrow or in 5 or 10 years, these kids need to know how to, be independent. I
How
don't
to
want them relying
survive.
on me.
Yeah. Okay. So, Jay, we're already a little bit over halfway. Okay, which is crazy. The time flies. I want to jump into some business stuff,
Yeah.
right? From my perspective as a loan officer, when we do deals together, we do business together, I always kind of see you as someone that knows how to get it done, knows how to get offers accepted, how to get deals into contract, which sounds like, well, that's kind of the job. It's harder to do that job in a highly, highly competitive market. So I'm just going to ask you straight up, how do you do it?
So this is a great question that I have given speeches for in
Yeah.
other agents' offices for like 45 minutes, and I'll try to sum it up in like 3 minutes. Um, Buyers out there today, and even the agents that they're working with, think it's as easy as just going to an open house, making an offer, and
It is
I'll
not.
just text the agent the offer, or I'll just email it. Oh, I emailed the offer. That's not how you do it.
Right.
In today's market, you need to have so much leverage to get these offers.
Yeah.
It's one thing to, make your offer 30, 40, 50,000 over asking. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah.
But it's the way it's presented and the leverage that you have to give to these sellers. You pretty much have to put everything, including your unborn child,
Right.
to get these properties. But it's also the way it's presented. So I think the way I've been doing it successfully to get these deals done, to get them to you, is the way it's presented to the sellers to make them feel comfortable knowing that this is the best solid buyer, even if it's not the highest offer. And this is what I'll say step by step.
Please.
As the offer is presented, first of all, you're allowed to legally present your offer to the seller. I don't know if you know that. I don't even think other agents know that. You're allowed
So
to.
you, as the buyer and the buyer's agent, you can speak to the seller directly, you mean?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. You need, first of all, you need to ask permission. I can't just call up the seller because then
Yes.
it's interference.
Right.
And the only way they can deny me that right is if they have a letter on file that says all offers have to go through that agent. And then if I really want to take it a step further, then I can write up a package for my offer and have it signed by the seller within 24 hours or 2 hours or something like that. I have to look up.
Okay, so this is pretty cool. I'm learning new
Yeah,
stuff here.
it's an MLS rule, and if I really wanted to have a war with, wow, I just had a war with another agent saying this, and I said, if you really want to go this route, first I'll get the managers involved, and I don't want to have to do that, but I'll call up MLS. Article 703.1 says that my offer is allowed to present to the seller,
Right.
unless you have a letter on file. So can I present my offer to your seller? So yeah, it works. Sometimes it can get bloody out there.
So when you present it, are you doing it over the phone? Are you doing it in person?
Right.
How
So
does that
first,
look?
I'll call the agent and present it. I want to ask if I can present it to the seller. 9 out of 10 times, they'll probably say no, but that is my right. But if I can present it to the seller, I have a way that it goes in order. First, I'm going to talk about the buyer without being discriminatory in any way.
hold on. I do want to get more into this, but I'll tell you the objection that's coming into my mind that other people are probably thinking is that don't you feel that that starts off like a negative relationship with the agent on the other side and
Yeah.
makes negotiating and coming to a deal more
Mhm.
comfortable?
Yeah, great question. I
Yeah,
won't threaten them and say, "I wanna present your offer to the seller," because you gotta play nice in the sandbox.
right.
The agent has the power with the listing. If you start rubbing that agent the wrong way, they're probably not gonna push for your deal.
Of course.
I'll get to that point if and only if I feel like we didn't get a fair shot
Okay.
at getting the house. So I won't start off like that.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
So,
no.
okay, so with that said, please continue.
I'll be very nice and say, "Hey, I wanna present my offer to you. Let me just explain everything about the buyer and their terms, and then I'll get to the offer."
Okay.
And 9 out of 10 times, they'll say, "Okay, great." So I'll talk about the buyer, and it's called humanizing in real estate. So you
Right.
humanize about the buyer. And then once I humanize about the buyer, without being any discriminatory reasons, what they
Of
do
course.
for work, unnecessary. Even their names are unnecessary, all that stuff.
Right.
Um, I'll add some emotional involved. Once I humanize the buyer, then I'll go into their terms.
Well, hold on. Before we go into that, how do you do that? How do you humanize them? Like you talk about their motivations, why it's
Yeah.
important to them.
Yeah, and
Okay.
again, you have to be careful in this market too because of the discrimination laws.
Right.
So I can't talk too much about their families and their kids and then anything discriminatory like that. But I'll start. There's emotions involved. Hey, they want to move here because their family's close,
Right.
and they really want to start a family, and they loved everything about your house. You kind of make it look or feel like it's about the seller. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
everybody loves to talk about themselves and hear about themselves. They love your house. They're not going to change a thing. They love it. Even though it has to be
They love
gutted.
the old wallpaper from the 80s. Yeah.
Um, so after I do that, then that's when I talk about the financing. And this is where I think a lot of buyers and I think agents kind of not mess up in their offers, but I think where they don't close a deal. And this is where you come in. They don't realize the importance of making the seller feel secure, knowing that not only the buyer's qualified, but that you can get a pre-commitment
Yep.
or a committed loan and close on the terms that the seller wants to close. I didn't say fast because what if the seller needs 3 months, 4 months? What if they want to close in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
So that's when I'll come out, and it's extremely important. If the buyer can have a pre-commitment or some commitment letter before they go in, other
Which we
than
do.
just
Yeah.
have what you guys do, and you guys have a phenomenal turnaround.
Thank you.
So not everybody does that, and I think that's the way I've been getting these deals to even at least be in the contention. And then it comes down to the buyer's terms, of course. Do they have 20% down, 30% down, etc. And then before I even go into the price, notice how I didn't even go into the price yet.
Yeah.
Before I even go into the price, now I'm going into terms. When do they want to move? They won't do an inspection. They'll bypass the inspection. They'll buy it as is. I'll get them to sign contracts tomorrow.
Okay.
This is everything a seller wants to hear.
So I have a question. And I imagine this differs depending on the seller, listing agent, and their influence, so to speak. How would you rank those different items? Meaning, like, how important is price, terms, strength in financing, motivations? Like, when the deal goes in, because that's what a lot of people try and figure out and candidly struggle with in the
Yeah.
business.
Price, of course, is most important. But
Yeah.
if you're having offers that are neck and neck with each other between $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, depending on the price, that may not bear as much as other terms. And I'm not even talking about down payment. I don't
Mhm.
care if you have 10%, 5%, 30%. If you're getting the mortgage, who cares?
Right.
But what I mean with terms is, are you going to bust chops after the inspection?
Mm.
Are you doing an inspection? How fast can you sign? Are you going to make it very easy for my seller or buyer to close? Are you going to bust chops in any way? I think that matters more. I just sold a house that went over 100 grand. Well, I think 120,000 over because you priced it so low.
Over asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't underprice a house in this market. But they didn't even take the highest offer because
Interesting.
they took a buyer that had to close. These sellers have to close in like 4 weeks.
Right.
And some other agent came in
And speed is what matters.
for
Right.
this particular deal.
Right.
So I think once you go through that process, making the offer, and then you talk about the offer, I always stress to the agent and seller and say, listen, I don't know if this is their highest offer. I'm telling you right now, they can probably come up. Do you want to give me a magic number right now that I can get this deal to happen? Don't come back with your highest and best because everybody does that.
Right.
If you come back with your highest and best, I can't even guarantee getting the highest and best. But if you want to inflate your highest and best by another 20 or 30 grand, I'll go see if I can get it.
Just get it done. And so how That's an interesting one because, again, this is what you may not even realize, Jay, is that this is what makes you different. I
Mhm.
mean, I hope you do, but like,
Thought it was my Amazon suit.
so you say. My Amazon suit from my custom tailor in Italy. Um, the average agent doesn't do what you just described,
Mhm.
right? They do highest and best on, no pressure,
Well,
if you
not even
want
that. What
to,
bothers me, because
right?
I'm also talking from the listing. It's hard to cut you off.
No,
From the listing
please.
side, you got to see what these agents do out there. They don't even tell me or call me that they're giving an offer. I just got to randomly open up my email. No signature, no hello, no dear Jason, nothing about the buyers. I just got to open up an attachment that's not even properly filled out.
Right.
Why would I even deal with you if you don't know how to make an offer?
Okay, so no, sorry. It's interesting that you're saying this because again, it's how most people conduct themselves. They just send the letter. So you like to build a rapport, kind of get a feel from the other side, whether you're the buyer or the listing agent side,
Yeah, I need to know
right?
who I'm working with
Right.
or how I'm working. There's agents out there that make it extremely hard. Even though they gotta get their 2%, they're making it harder. Sometimes I've gone to these agents and said,
Path of least resistance.
"Yeah,
Make it easy.
just get out of the way. You'll get your 2% in 3 months. Just leave me alone."
Yeah.
Mm,
So the part that I find very, very interesting, because a lot of agents just go into it, they place the offer, they don't try and build a rapport.
mm.
So how much of, I mean, I think you've kind of answered it actually, but how much of an impact does it make on the deal? Like from your perspective, is that what really gets the deal done? It's like,
Um,
it's you place the offer, you're calling the agent, you're trying to build some rapport, get an understanding of where they are on the other side, and you use essentially that information
yeah.
to go back to your side and be like, hey, this is where they're at. So and I say that because again, a lot of agents don't do that. They just send the offer, right? And be like, oh, we didn't hear back.
So I'll tell you, we're in the relationship business,
Yeah.
mortgages, agents, very humble to say I've been over all towns on Long Island, so I know the majority of the agents out there.
Yeah.
Um, I
That's freaking key too, I have to say as well.
Yeah, there's deals that I've done that if I know the listing agent or they know me, I'll probably get that deal or have a better chance of getting that deal over another agent because they know how I work. They know I'll put it together. And vice versa. If I'm the listing agent on that side and they have a buyer, I will go to my seller and say, "This is a great agent. I know they're going to put the deal together. Let's go. I don't trust this other guy. Even though it's like 5,000 higher, I think they're going to be really hard to work with." You know, that's
So
key.
so when you're doing the back and forth, what gives you, because I'm sure like your what is it? The word that comes to mind is like your spider sense comes to mind that like they're acting weird. They said they'll
Mhm.
do something. Like what sets that off when it comes time to negotiate and make a decision,
The way they
or some
work.
examples rather.
Their communication. So if an agent's making an offer, again, if I'm on the listing side and it's a buyer's agent, if they're working with me and making my job harder and they're really pushing to get the best price, or even if they're working for a buyer, I don't care.
Yeah.
But if they're communicating and making it easy to go, all right, I see we're gonna have an easy transaction for the next 2 or 3 months. But if you don't know how to write up an offer and you're not picking up the phone and you're telling me you're too busy to negotiate a deal, there's another agent that I'm talking to right now that said they were gonna send an offer 5 days ago. I had to chase him 3 times. I said, You're gonna lose this house." "Oh, I've been busy." Busy to send an $800,000.
Yeah, that's kind of the main part of the job. If
Yeah.
you're too busy to do that, then what are you doing?
And one thing I wanna add that I don't care if this is publicly announced to the world, because everybody that knows me knows I hate this.
Yeah.
I can't stand when agents come back and say, "Just give me your highest and best."
Interesting.
I hate it. I think it's unethical, and I don't think that's fighting in the best interest of the seller.
So hold on, but wouldn't it be to give you an objection? Um, isn't that the ethical thing to do? Because isn't the listing agent not allowed to like truly reveal the seller's bottom line? So they
No,
have
I
to do
didn't
it
say
that
that.
way.
It's ethical, but it's
Okay.
also the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
It's also the easiest thing to do. It's also takes no skill. So in this
True.
market we're in right now, where a listing agent could just underprice a house and just sit in an open house for 2 hours, being on their phone, get 10 offers, and then give this garbage about give me your highest and best offer. First of all, you don't know if that agent's truly doing that. Are you truly getting the best offer and then just going with that? Or are you doing something behind everybody's back, pushing for something else?
Okay, so sorry to cut you off, Jay,
Mhm.
but I do want to
Yeah.
point this into one particular direction. If they're not coming back and saying highest and best or asking for highest and best, what should they ask for instead?
I would love if they came back with some crazy inflated price
Yeah.
And if we're in the running, whether it's the top 2 or 3, then come back and say, "Can you get your buyer up another 5 or 10? You're very close to the deal." That's the ethical thing to do. So instead of just saying highest and best, where I can leave off at a 730 offer, I'll go back and push for another 20.
Nice. Yeah.
That's it.
If I was a seller, I would like to hear that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give these people the deal. Okay.
So
So that's your strategy, kind of on the buyer side. We've only got, what, 2 minutes left? Okay. So let's wrap up with a final thing. If let's say we approach it to the seller side, like, how do you like to maximize your seller's bottom line, right, as a listing agent? Or is that the strategy that you use?
for what, their price?
Yeah.
I would say once we get all the highest and best offers in, once we have multiple offers, this is why you hired me. This is why you're paying me 5 or 6%, and not the average agents that are getting 3 or 4, because I'm pushing to get you another $20,000 or $30,000. So I know how to go back to these other top contenders and push for the highest price based on my negotiating skills.
I would say what you just demonstrated is probably the most detail, which I appreciate because we don't get a lot of detail, as I mentioned before. And this is something I imagine, again, you discuss with your sellers on how you do it. They see your skill, they see your energy, right? To kind of wrap up with a final thought, what
time
would
does
you
my
say?
day start?
Sorry?
What time does my day start?
I wasn't going to say that, but we could go into that. Knowing just based off your energy, I assume you're an early riser.
3:30.
Shut the hell up.
I swear.
What? How?
Run, work out, because nobody else is doing it.
Right.
So if I'm out there, there was one
What time
day
do you go to bed?
I hate going to bed.
Oh, God.
10:30, 11, something like that.
So you're one of those that can operate on 4 or 5 hours.
That's even a lot.
That's insane. That's insane. If I could steal your life force or your energy, I would do it for myself. I need 8 hours or I'm grumpy.
You just got to get massive reasons.
I have reasons, Jay. I think you're an alien. You're from another planet, man, in order to do that.
I hate if I see somebody else doing something over me or earlier than me, I'm going to get up early. It started off at like 6 a.m., then it was 5:30, then it was 5.
Crazy.
Then I saw somebody running at like 4. I'm like, oh, no.
Oh, God.
No.
Yeah, you're highly competitive, and I say this as a massive compliment, freak of nature.
Yeah,
Right? You are a freak, my friend, in the greatest way possible, but I always kind of look at productivity, or you could talk about it from a production of the business or even just your life, but in order to simply do the uncommon, you have to be an uncommon person. That's what it takes. You can't expect to close 3-4 deals a month and then be there for your family and being in great shape.
It's funny you say that, and I'll end it saying this. I have a goal ultimately one day in 10 years from now to do 100 deals a year. Why 10 years? I'm too busy raising my kids.
Right.
I'm totally focused on my kids. I still got to work. I'm still goal-oriented. In fact, I'm breaking a record right now.
Amazing.
So, but I have to try to balance out whatever I can. But if I have an opportunity to spend with my kids on the weekend, I'll get somebody to cover for me.
And you do it very, very well, my friend.
Thank
Jason Orsini, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.